Hello! This is the 74th episode of the Funfiltered podcast, and whether you're listening at 12, 1 minute past 12, 2 minutes past 12,
Oh god.
3 minutes past 12,
Oh god.
4 minutes past 12,
Do I stop it now?
5 minutes past 12,
No, I could stop it now.
6 minutes past 12, or any other time, welcome. I'm Jordan, that's Sam.
Alright.
Coming up,
Our new segment, Racks and Racks.
Season 5 of Fargo,
The Holdovers.
Poor Things,
And the 2023 specials of Doctor Who. So, it's a new year for the podcast. It's been a new year for quite a while for everything and
every
everybody
episode
else.
is a new year, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
This episode will cover the month of January. I watched everything in January.
Everything?
Yes. So, well, yeah, basically.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Oh dear.
So that I could curate the proper lists for y'all. And as such, we are debuting a new segment that we're going to call Racks and Racks. Hit it! Is it a rack?
Or is it a wreck?
Like a
Recommendation.
Or a wreck?
So, firstly, the racks of January 2024. First up, All of Us Strangers. Are you familiar with this, Jord?
Oh, actually, no. It's the Andrew Scott thing, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
It's an Andrew Haigh film who was behind the TV series Looking and some other gay things. This is also
Right.
gay.
Okay.
He's a gay filmmaker.
Okay. Oh, you
It's-
just need to say that.
He's a gay
It's-
filmmaker.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Wasn't to my taste, but the performances are solid, and if you're partial, you will like it.
Okay.
Claire Foy is probably the standout. Generally, not my cup of tea, but I acknowledge its qualities.
Okay.
Next, The Beekeeper, which you've seen
Yes.
now. Yeah.
Yes, I have.
So pretty classic Jason Statham action fare. It's not breaking the mold, but it's better than most.
Yeah, I did want Jason Statham to fight the bad guys with the power of bees, and he doesn't do that.
No, or the bees turning on him, so he has to fight the bees.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Not the bees. You know, but,
Maybe something
not
like
the
that,
bees, you know. something
Yeah.
like that.
Or he becomes the
A bee.
queen of the bees.
No, what are you trying to... You calling him gay? Is that what you're...
No.
Okay.
I wouldn't dare call Jason Statham gay.
Not to his face, certainly.
No. It's for what it is. It certainly does its job.
Yes.
I believe.
The end we start from, which is a post-apocalyptic indie, British indie, starring Jodie Comer. She's always good. The film otherwise can be a bit of a chore, but it has quite the roundup of familiar faces in the supporting cast. It's fine. But
Okay.
Jodie Comer is worth it.
Okay.
Priscilla.
Queen of the Desert.
No, indeed.
Okay.
Though there's a lot of gay stuff so far, isn't there? No, it's about Priscilla Presley, who was Elvis's young wife.
Oh, okay.
He kind of knew her from the age when she was about 15, 16, I think, maybe even 14. And the story goes, didn't really do anything with her until she was of age. But then she kind of went to live with him. Her parents allowed it, conservatorship, whatever it's called. And then they married eventually. And it was a complicated marriage. It's made by Sofia Coppola, known for things like Lost in Translation. She's hit and miss. This was a bit of a hit for me. It was the first film I saw in the year. I liked it. Katie Spaney, who plays Priscilla, is very good. Jacob Elordi, who plays Elvis, yeah, he's good
Right.
in it. I have to say, he's convincing. It's an interesting take on that story. It's very restrained and it's very nicely shot.
Okay.
So I recommend it. And finally, for Rax, Mr. Bates versus the Post Office.
Yeah, I saw this as well.
Yeah, 3-parter.
4-parter.
4-parter, you're right. ITV drama on ITVX now. It does what it sets out to do with economy, is really the best thing you can say about it.
Yeah.
It's social awareness raising drama. It's about the Horizon scandal that affected post office workers that have never really seen compensation for it. My father even knows somebody that was affected by it.
Right.
A post office worker.
Oh yeah,
So
well,
it
I mean that's
was widespread.
That's one of the beauties about this show is it kind of shows you just the sheer scale
Yeah.
of the miscarriage of justice that's gone on.
Yeah, it's the greatest miscarriage of justice in British legal history.
Yeah, and as people who live in the UK at the time that this came out, it is a phenomenon. Everyone's talking about it. My job is kind of in the software industry, and a lot of interactions that I've had with customers in the wake of that show has been them expressing concern about, is this happening to us? How can we trust you guys?
Well, that's the thing. When the story was actually unfolding, it didn't get a lot of press. I vaguely remember something called the Horizon scandal, but I didn't know anything about it, and I was a bit too young to really look into it or be interested in it. But yeah, no, it's the first of its kind in a long while. It's kind of considered in the same breath now as Kathy Come Home, which actually affected change in society. Yeah, and as drama, it's efficient, it zips along, it's well performed, it just does the job.
Yeah.
You know? And now for Rex. Lift.
Right, okay.
Have you seen this?
No.
No.
Should I?
No.
Okay.
It's in the Rex.
Yeah. Okay, well, as someone that's here when this is being recorded,
Yes.
without all of the poster effect stuff, it's hard to tell.
Yeah. Gimmick. It's helmed by F. Gary Gray, who did the Italian Job back in 2003. It's
the remake.
The remake of the Italian
okay.
Job, yeah. It's another heist movie. It's another heist movie that opens in Venice. It is a wasted cast. Kevin Hart is not a dramatic actor as much as he is trying to be. It's filmed as though it's slick, but it's flat. It's boring. It's dull. It's a waste of time.
Okay.
Mean Girls.
Oh, I really didn't want to watch this.
Good thing you didn't.
Oh, thank God.
So it's not a remake. It's a reconceptualization.
Oh, is it like a Force Awakens situation?
No, because that's a continuation of the story.
Right, okay.
Mean Girls is the same story, but it's a musical.
Right.
Yeah. So it's parallel, sure. It's not.
So it is a remake.
But it's a musical. You know, it is, but as a musical.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? But yeah, the story's the same, the characters are the same, with some changes that you might expect. So yes, while it's parallel and it doesn't overwrite Mean Girls, why bother? Yeah. It's just such a waste. It's because the musical on Broadway was a hit, and so we'll do a film version of it.
Okay.
I've seen videos of people watching it in a cinema, and it's great. The moment that Kaylee, is that the main character in Mean Girls?
Maybe, yeah.
Katie.
Yeah.
When she clocks the hot boy in the class in front of her, and he kind of says hello to her, and then he turns around and she starts singing, which is kind of the first big inkling that it's a musical. The audience just groans. Oh no, we didn't know. We didn't know. None of the cast are as good as the original film.
No.
There is some vague interest in the fact that the dialogue is different, to kind of look at how scenes side by side, and this is also written by Tina Fey, and to kind of go, okay, what did she do different? How did she? And she does do that to her credit. It's not the same dialogue. Okay. It's the same ideas, but done differently. So it's not lazy in that way. Renee Rapp, who plays what's her face, you know, the hot leader of the whatever,
the Rachel
McAdams role. Yeah. She's having a moment at the moment. I don't know if you've noticed.
Not at all.
No, she's like on SNL and.
Well, why would I know that, Sam?
Well, annoyingly now, because I'm watching shit things as well. I'm kind of tuned into what's popular.
Right.
So yeah, she's on SNL performing the song from the film that's not in the film, but I don't think it's in the film. Maybe it is. But it's the attached single to the film that she did.
The thing that will probably get nominated for Best Song at the Oscars.
Maybe. I think
certainly what they'd submit, I imagine.
I think it's with Megan Thee Stallion.
Oh God, okay.
And it's annoyingly earwormy because it's an awful song, and awful. But it's not my fault. You just, it's bad. Night Swim. Seen this one?
No.
Okay. It's a horror movie.
What's it about, Sam? What's the monster?
It was a haunted swimming pool.
It sounds like one of those premises where, like, if you were doing
like the Aliens pitch.
Yeah. Well, no, just like if you were doing a film about like how Hollywood has run out of ideas, or how like people in general run out of ideas. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's a haunted swimming pool.
Yeah, but things like that tend to be you picture the executives pitching stuff. You go, oh, I don't know, haunted swimming pool. Yeah, all right, that sounds vaguely novel. But this is actually a short film was made back in like 2014. Right. Oh, so this is someone's baby. Yeah, as a proof of concept, and it was bought by Blumhouse, and they bought the idea. There's no excuse for it. Okay. It's uninventive. Japanese females are scary. We get it. It's a shame about Carrie Condon being in it off the back of the Banshees of Inisherin,
Yeah.
but hey, money. It's not scary, it's just jumpy. It plays off the inherent scariness of backyard swimming pools, which aren't scary.
No, I was about to say.
Until they're turned into something else. A haunted toaster would be scary.
Swimming pools are a luxury. They're like...
Yeah.
You see a swimming pool and you're like, ooh.
I mean, luxury... I suppose there might be some luxury items that could have a creepy dimension to them. I get how underwater is... the ocean is scary. Jaws played off that.
Yeah.
And there is a thing about the ocean. It is. There's something about it. But swimming pools aren't.
No.
Backyard swimming pools definitely aren't.
No.
They're small. You can see every inch of it.
Yeah.
They're well lit. So, yeah, it's not scary until you do an It-style maneuver where you put the ghost kid in the, whatever it's called, the filter.
The drainage system.
Yeah. But like I say, if a ghost popped out of the toaster on my bread, I would jump. So
like the toast pops up and there's a little skull. Into the toast.
Yeah. You will die on this date, just like the date on the toast. Yeah. So no, it's rubbish.
Okay.
Rubbish. Now 2 of yours, Jordan. Domino Day, season 1.
Yes. Oh, I hope there's not more. I really hope there's not more. When I watched the first episode, I kind of became with the impression that I was watching a show about a villain.
Okay.
It's a show about witches, young teenage witches, or young adult witches. And this one particular witch is the most powerful witch that ever witched.
Right.
And all of the other witches are afraid of her and want her to be executed for how much of a witch she is.
Okay.
But obviously the show is about that witch.
A witch hunt, but by other witches.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Yeah, and so the main character is that witch that's being hunted. It's her kind of discovering and dealing with her powers. And the tragic backstory that comes with the fact that she has those powers. And yeah, I thought that I was watching a show about a villain, because the way that she's kind of dealing with it at the moment is, in order to kind of keep her power and to keep her energy, she has to suck the life out of people.
Okay.
So what she is taken to doing is she just finds guys on Tinder, like arsehole guys on Tinder, goes home with them, and then when they try to rape her, because every guy on Tinder rapes,
yeah,
she sucks the life out of them and then wipes their memory so they don't remember.
She kills them.
No. And I suspect this is supposed to be the central, thing of the show, is that she's a sympathetic character that we're supposed to like.
Yeah.
But in order to stay alive, she has to do something morally reprehensible.
Right.
But it doesn't kill them. And it doesn't even seem to do any harm to them, because in the first episode, she sucks the life out of a guy that she actually likes.
Okay.
A guy that we really like, in theory. And she feels really shitty about it. But he's just fine for the rest of the show.
So what to do? Make him a bit tired?
Yeah, he kind of wakes up in the morning and he's like, God, what happened last night? I feel really rough. And then he's just fine.
Well, that's really doing everything to soften. Why bother introducing the thing in the first place?
Yeah.
The thing it reminds me of is Dexter, which is, we have the most reprehensible sort of character. What can we possibly do to humanize him?
Yeah.
He only kills killers. Okay, fine. A lot of people can get on board with that.
Yeah.
This doesn't really compare, does it?
No.
To live, she has to do this. But it makes you a bit tired.
Yeah. It's not quite the...
No.
Yeah, the kind of... the moral dilemma that I think they wanted. But then again, it is the BBC, and these are diverse characters, so...
Yeah, they're black, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, of course, they were going to give them as little nuance as possible.
Of course. And with a collective understanding that we're all going to hate guys on Tinder.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and all of the other white straight characters in the show that are very interested in killing her. Heavily invested in killing her.
This will feed into maybe some stuff in this episode, and certainly the next one. That depiction of males now is becoming more and more common. Of just, males are either bastards or wimps. And there's really no in between.
Yeah.
Does it deal with feminist issues? Because in the modern day, you can't really do witches unless you're talking about the persecution of women. They even do it in Fargo a little bit.
Yeah, I kind of a little bit. There's all this stuff about them being the product of their ancestry, and I think one of the main villains is a female character, but then you kind of find out that she's being manipulated by her son.
Right.
So yeah, again, it just kind of takes a lot of the complexity and nuance out of it, because...
Man to blame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Okay.
And like I said, I thought I was watching a show about the villain, and then I kind of had an episode 2. I was like, oh, I'm supposed to like these people. So that's Yeah, don't watch it. I don't recommend it.
Okay. Sonic Prime.
Yeah, this kind of started off... It kind of started on neither list, and I was like, oh, I hope it becomes a wreck. But the third season wrapped up this year, and that marks the end of the show. And it's, unfortunately, very much a wreck.
I see.
Yeah, you can see the budget run out in real time. It's quite remarkable, actually.
Okay.
It's a 23-episode show that was slated to be a 24-episode show that could have been done in 10 episodes.
I see.
Maybe 12. There's so much padding. There's so... Like, I'm talking entire episodes where Sonic has to go from point A to point B, and the next 2 episodes is him just trying to get to point B.
Okay.
With no real...
I mean, that can be interesting.
Yeah, like Mad Max was that, right? Point A to point B and back again.
Some people would say Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings. Yeah. But it's... This stuff happens...
In those things.
Yeah, circumstances change, and in this it doesn't. It's just they're constantly fighting, and they're constantly, like, oh, this character changes allegiances. Oh, now they've just gone back again. Okay,
well, in the sense that conforms to what people that don't play video games, and I am one of those to be fair, but I think I have a half decent understanding. People that don't like video games and consider it an inferior thing, it conforms to that stereotype, which is, oh, video games are just about going from one place to another, and you just fight stuff to get there. But it sounds like the show is actually doing that.
Yeah, this should have been a video game.
Right.
Because
is that what they're trying to do then? Trying to replicate the experience of a video game. The thing with a video game is I can do that. I can play that.
Yeah, but that's what's weird about it. In the first season, it feels like they're doing everything they can to present the story in a way that couldn't be presented in a game. So, for example... At the beginning of the first episode, Sonic breaks the MacGuffin of the show, which basically shatters the universe into like these sub-dimensions.
Okay.
And the show is him traveling between these dimensions and meeting up with kind of alternate versions of all of his friends.
Okay.
And the villains as well. There's like 5 versions of Dr. Eggman in like this one universe and stuff like that.
Okay.
And the first episode, it's like 40 minutes long. The rest of the episodes are like 25. But it's told in like this non-linear fashion. So Sonic, like, he runs up a building he goes to like this dimension where Eggman has won and everything is now just like metallic.
Eggy.
Eggy.
Yeah.
New York City is the name of...
Of course it is.
Yes. And he kind of runs up a building and he's kind of in the sky and he sees all of these landmarks he recognises that have now been like roboticized and ruined. Egged.
Yeah.
And then it cuts back to before the opening of the show where it's just the characters getting ready to attack Eggman in the beginning.
Right.
Then it cuts back to Sonic and then it cuts back even further to introduce Shadow, who's in the first season for like 3 minutes and doesn't actually become important until the second season. It's really all over the place. And then the final season... You know, Avengers Endgame has kind of ruined cinema in the sense that every final fight now has to take place in an empty dirt like landscape.
Yeah.
With thousands of characters fighting each
Yes.
other. I'm not joking, the last 4 episodes is that.
Really? Okay. Because the thing is, Endgame didn't begin that trend.
No, but
it's obviously that film did so well. What has been cloned from it is that it's ugly. You know, like Avengers Endgame, for all the money that went into it, it looks, it's visual effects heavy and it's kind of, it looks like what Marvel do now, which is just scan every landscape. And Gladiator, Lord of the Rings, plenty of battles and earthy, but they looked good and they felt earthy. These don't. You'd see occasional digital flecks of dirt going up in the air, you know, and it's grey, and the sky's a weird colour that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It's kind of that brown yellow. It's like the Somme, you know?
Yes.
Mustard gas and all that. Yeah, horrible. But that's the final 4 episodes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll give it a miss.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, into the reviews. Fargo Season 5 is the 5th season of Fargo.
Interesting.
Yes.
Tell me more.
Noah Hawley's still on
I
board.
thought you were going to say no then.
No, I shan't. Noah Hawley's still on board shepherding the project. Season 5 follows a woman named Dot, whose life is turned upside down when someone from her past discovers her.
Yeah, Fargo is kind of... It's never really been about the plot, has it? It's kind of...
The tone.
It's watching all of that unfold.
Yes.
Yeah, and the tone, very much so, yeah.
Right, well, let's start with some of the good things. The first 4 episodes are great.
Yeah, it really pulled me into it. That first episode, there's a lot of great scenes in that. The raid on the petrol station.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
It is.
other scenes as well are also fantastic.
Yeah, it's a very strong start. The cast is great, especially Juno Temple, who's the best thing about the season.
Yeah, she was meant to be in a Fargo project.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
She never falters even when other things do. She's consistent. Jennifer Jason Leigh oozes haughtiness.
I'll always remember seeing that character against that massive no in her office.
We'll come back to that.
Yeah.
It's interesting because her introduction with Dot and her husband have a daughter who's a tomboy. Not trans, but a tomboy. And, wears suits for the family portrait instead of a dress.
Yeah.
And Jennifer Jason Leigh walks up to her and goes, "Oh, how progressive," very dismissively.
Yeah.
And then they brandish guns for the Christmas family photo. It suggests that she's a right-wing caricature.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting they didn't go down that path. The ensemble is solid. There are some nice inversions, like the kidnapped woman fighting back. Obviously in Fargo, the film, she's kidnapped. The final scene, which we'll come back to, I like the blend of Halloween and Christmas. Yeah, the gas station set piece, like you said, is fab, as is the home invasion sequence.
Yeah.
The Home Alone scene. That's great. There are plenty of laughs and an abundance of colourful dialogue. The puppet stuff was handled really well. The election stuff is really fun. I like that John Hamm's new wife isn't won over by appeals to female solidarity. I also like that after she's been knocked out by Dot, that Roy doesn't give her a second glance when he's walking past the bedroom.
Yeah. So far, this sounds pretty good.
Well, now we'll talk about the nitpicks, the small problems.
Okay.
The insistent description of Dot as a tiger suggests some payoff that never arrives with any punch.
Yeah, that feels like... So in a lot of ways, this feels like peak Fargo, like what you kind of want out of Fargo. Season 4, I don't know if we did a proper review of it. We absolutely would have, but I think we were having audio difficulties at the time. We might have lost that review. I'm not sure.
We definitely recorded one, yeah. Whether it survived, I don't know. But we did talk about it.
We did talk about it. And yeah, that was a bit of a letdown given the fantastic second and third seasons that we were coming off the back of. It just got too busy. I think that was the main problem with Fargo Season 4.
Overly ambitious.
Yeah, overly ambitious. Yeah. This is scaled back a bit in terms of its ambition.
Yes.
It's a lot more focused, even though there are a lot of people in it.
It's a very simple story.
It's a very simple story, and yeah, that kind of allows the tone and the mischief of Fargo to that gives it more breathing space.
Absolutely.
And then there are other instances where it feels like it's trying to do things, not necessarily out of obligation, but it's like, oh, well, this is the type of thing that Fargo would do. So
playing the greatest hits.
Yeah, I think you brought up the Peter and the Wolf stuff from season 3.
Yeah.
As that's probably what the Tiger stuff was, where that came from.
Yeah, narration from a cast member that had been in a previous season as well.
Yeah.
Like the robot story in season 3 as well.
Yeah, a lot of season 3 stuff.
A lot of season 3 stuff. And it doesn't quite work as well in this season. When Dot has been finally kidnapped by... What's his name? What's John Hamm's character's name? Roy.
Yeah.
By Roy, she says that she and Wayne need to get through Call the Midwife, and there are 13 seasons of that show. There are now, in 2019.
Oh, okay,
when the show is set. Now, you could write that off as...
exaggeration.
But it is 13 now.
Yeah, she exaggerated the correct number.
So that's a bit... Well, it's an anachronism. The long take of Roy as the cover of Toxic Plays doesn't achieve what it's trying to. Okay, this is a bit of an insider baseball kind of thing, right? But rewatch the sequence and let me know what you think. The build-up suggests that he's gonna, beat the shit out of her.
Yeah.
Right? Because he's just been humiliated. But the editing is really strange. He walks in the room as we stay on the exterior. You hear her protesting, but no sounds of impact.
Yeah.
3 rapid cuts to different exterior angles. Then to her lying down on the bed, presumably after a beating. But she doesn't look beaten. She has a slightly bloodied nose. What it should have done was just lingered on the exterior, either with score drowning out proceedings on the inside, or situating us far away enough that we'd be out of earshot.
Yeah.
That's what it's trying to do, right? It's trying to create a dread that, I know what's going on in there.
Yeah.
But it's edited in such a weird way, and you hear it. You just hear like, oh, no, stop, and kind of scuffling.
Yeah.
But you don't hear any of that.
Yeah.
And you could argue, maybe they're trying to kind of be classy about it, but it just creates a weird dissonance. But yeah, rewatch that, see what you think.
Okay.
There's an arbitrary ratio shift, either in the final episode or the penultimate one.
Right.
Remember where it becomes cinematic all of a sudden, and then
again,
letterbox?
Oh, this is the type of thing Fargo would do.
But there's no reason for it. It doesn't... it's not a standout scene.
No.
It's really random.
Yeah.
I don't know why they
Yeah,
do it.
isn't it just...
It's Roy walking outside and talking to the ranch foreman.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it.
And that's it. Then it just goes back to normal.
Yeah.
Really weird.
I don't know whether that was supposed to be like a fake out that just went wrong. Whether it was supposed to imply, oh, this is going to happen now.
Yeah.
But we didn't know what that was supposed to be.
Well,
so when it didn't happen, it didn't feel like a subversion.
What it ends up looking like is there's a mistake that the letterbox is covering.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, like the frame got fucked, I don't know, it's weird. It's a weird choice. There's a snarky YMCA needle drop that I didn't love. There's a TV ad for a Minnesota dealership in North Dakota, which doesn't make any sense. And that ends up being quite important. So that's actually a bit more of a nitpick.
Okay.
But yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about. I'm just wondering, is that really a stretch? Because obviously we don't live in the States. I don't know.
I looked up the distance between the towns.
Okay.
And it's a significant drive.
That's fine, but wouldn't you, even if you're a local business, you'd want to draw in customers, wouldn't you?
I think it's a bit of a stretch. Okay. Maybe. But I feel like if you were a Minnesota car dealership, you would you'd pay to advertise on Minnesota television.
Yeah.
I can't remember it's like an 8-hour drive at least.
Right.
It's something like that, which also, because I was on the threads, I looked it up for this reason, but people were complaining about after she's initially kidnapped and taken to this other city, she walks home, and it's an 8-hour drive.
Right.
And she does it within the night, basically.
Okay.
So I can ignore stuff like that, whatever, but not that.
Okay.
The characters are a mixed bag. Mm-hmm. Most have promising beginnings. Wayne, her husband, is likeable, but he conforms to this new paradigm that decent men are either secretly fucks in waiting or dopey and ineffectual.
Yeah.
I liked Indira, but she ended up being quite flat, and her marriage is totally unbelievable.
Yeah, there should have been some... Is there even a moment where that character is like, oh, he was nice when I met him?
No, not at all. Not
Okay.
at all. Whenever she talks about him to other people, she also denigrates him.
Right.
I know what they were driving at. Basically, the season a large part of it is about misogyny and how women are treated like shit in different ways, to outright, rape and abuse, to men just kind of being inattentive and, grown-up man-children.
Yeah, I want a wife. Is that the speech?
I want a wife. Yeah, it is so on the nose and ludicrous. It's a parody of a bad husband.
Yeah. And
it's like, okay, maybe he changed, but no one who could ever utter those words would be married to that character.
No.
So yeah, I didn't like that. Wit is endearing. In his opening scene, when he comes into contact with Ula Monk, and Ula Monk goes after him with the gun, there's a great line where it cuts to him running away, and he's like, I'm on the lam, evading pursuit, which is a great thing for a cop to say. But he ends up kind of the same as Indira. Nothing really comes of him. Gator probably has the most satisfying characterization and arc, I would say. Do you agree with that?
I would definitely do that, yeah.
Okay, now the problems. Let's break down the big problems of the season. Ula Monk is a problem.
No, I like Ula Monk.
No, he's a problem.
I like him.
I liked him at first.
Yeah.
And then I stopped liking him. His origin story is Fargo weird in the right way. He's Welsh.
Only Fargo would come up with something so absurd.
To be fair,
as someone being from Wales.
Yeah, to be fair, I think the fact he's 500 years old is probably weird.
That's more Fargo. Yeah.
But he soon descends into a one-note pastiche of a Coen boogeyman.
Yeah, okay. So, in the beginning, because I don't quite remember, my memory of him towards the end of the season is overpowering my memory of him at the beginning. Yeah. Does he always talk in the third person in the beginning?
No. Well, he doesn't talk that much in the beginning. But the way he talks in the premiere is different than the way he talks for the rest of the season. In the first episode, he's driving along after they've been attacked and his partner in crime has been severely burned. And he's complaining about, my face. And he's like, shut the fuck up. That's his first line to him. And then he says, it could spread to my brain. I need my brain. And he says, not from where this driver is sitting, That's basically all he says in the pilot.
Okay.
So shut the fuck... He's just like a normal gangster kind of criminal character.
Yeah.
And the more time you spend with him, the harder it is to believe that he was partners with that guy in the first place.
Yeah.
A typical low-life dumbass.
Well, isn't the implication that he hired that guy...
Yeah, he hired him.
To do the job?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But still, you'd think he would know someone a bit more reputable.
I don't know. I think that's the idea of that character, isn't it? Is that he's been alive for so long, he doesn't know anyone.
I don't know. I don't. But like I said, the more time you spend with him, he is not. What's the actor? Peter Stormare from Fargo.
Yeah.
He's elemental. He's something more than that. He talks in terms of centuries.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's again a bit unbelievable. Furthermore, he calls himself a nihilist, which is demonstrably untrue. Big Lebowski reference. I get it, but while he isn't your conventional Christian, he is bound up with some medieval version thereof, mixed with some pagan rituals. The whole fucking when he's in that hut and he's rubbing himself with dirt and chanting and everything. He reads the Bible and he eats pages from the Bible, whatever that is. He's tapped into something earthly and primal, and he lives by a strict code with such a rigidity that the final scene and final message of the season pivots on it. He doesn't believe in nothing.
Okay.
That's a big problem.
Right.
Roy Tillman is a big problem.
Yeah, he's more of a problem.
Yeah.
I won't defend Roy.
And it's not John Hamm's fault. Not at all. He acquits himself quite admirably.
I kind of feel bad for John Hamm at the moment. And I guess...
he can't catch a break.
Yeah.
After Mad Men, he just can't catch a break.
Yeah, and I don't know whether that's his fault, his agent's fault, or whether he's just more trusting of people. I don't think we're talking about it this episode. It's probably next episode. But I know that a big thing with Madden Web was that as the film was coming out, Dakota Johnson fired her agent.
Yeah.
And a lot of people believe that the reason for that is that she was completely missold on the type of films that she was going to be making.
Maybe.
Yeah. She probably thought it was going to be like a full-scale MCU project and not a piece of shit Sony movie.
Well, she fired her agent after the clip went viral of that awful line from the trailer.
Yeah.
And she was getting bad press about it. So I think if the film had been a hit or if it had been better reviewed, she probably wouldn't have done it. I don't think it's her like, oh, I thought this was going to be quality.
Right.
Dakota Johnson, have you seen the other stuff she's in? She's not the best judge of material.
No, absolutely not. But like John Hamm, I mean, what's he been in recently? Maggie Moore's, which is like a nothing film that you don't even recognise it from what I just said.
What's that?
I don't know. It was just on Sky one night.
Maggie Moore's.
Maggie Moore's,
okay.
Yeah. It's a film about two people called Maggie Moore get killed like in close proximity.
Right.
And there's a conspiracy behind it that John Hamm figures out.
Whatever.
He's like a cop.
Okay.
What was the other thing he was in recently? What was that like?
Yeah, the Chevy Chase remake.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, but there was that. Grimsburg, that animated show that he's in at the moment.
He's in a lot of comedy. After Mad Men and during Mad Men, he was in a lot of comedy to show his range.
You can absolutely be in comedy.
Yeah.
Just be in good comedy.
Yeah.
Please. And now we've got this, Fargo. It seems like the kind of role that would demand someone like John Hamm. Like someone who can act and someone that has a certain aura and presence to them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it doesn't feel like Roy Tillman is worthy of that caliber.
The writing is not worthy of him, no.
No.
And John Hamm is good, and he's great in Mad Men. And it is you forget that when you see the other things he's in. I remember reading an article, I think maybe just as Mad Men was ending, saying why hasn't he become the next Cary Grant? He could be in all these like really great films, like a Daniel Day-Lewis almost.
Yeah.
He could be this masculine icon of the new century sort of thing. And he's just been in Bridesmaids and, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, which, love Kimmy Schmidt, but you could be doing much, using the A-team, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So anyway, with that character, there are hints at complexities and nuances that would have made the character much richer than the outright fascist he ends up being.
Yeah.
There's the whole dynamic with the father-in-law that you get maybe the sense that, oh, he doesn't love this, but he feels like pressure, they have something over him. And this would have been something interesting to explore. It's a bit of a tangent, but while he's broadly in deficit virtue-wise, maybe Tillman brings a degree of stability to a disenfranchised people. So we meet him punishing a husband for beating up his wife. Now, in that same scene, he espouses a retrograde worldview where, women should be servile and that kind of thing. And I'm not saying that throwing boiling coffee in the guy's face should be legal, but find me 100 people that take great issue with it, throwing coffee in the face of a wife beater.
Yeah.
All to say there could have been layers and shades to the guy, or at least the consequences of him. So another thing that we've talked about that I thought could have been good was like a micro Iraq war situation. Saddam Hussein was a piece of shit that committed untold atrocities.
Yes.
But he was preferable to what filled the vacuum after he was gone, right? Which was ISIS, basically. Maybe Tillman is keeping a lid on some heinous shit. There's a scene where the two FBI agents who are pursuing him are talking to a judge. And the judge tells them this story about China's war on the sparrow. And they basically eradicated the sparrow. But that meant that the termites and, infested everywhere. He's using the allegory to warn them about the retribution that would follow in the wake of Roy's arrest. But he could just as easily been talking about necessary evils.
Yeah.
You take this guy out, you don't know what's beneath him. You don't know what he's
this is a very delicate
ecosystem.
Yeah, kind of fucked up ecosystem.
Yeah.
But it is an ecosystem that is stable.
Yeah.
At the moment. And this is the thing. I completely agree with everything you said. Like anything that would make it more interesting and anything that would add nuance. Because I think that is a concern. We kind of alluded to it a little bit in Domino Day. It's relevant here as well. It does feel like nuance is being drained from a lot of stuff that discusses gender and modern stuff like this. Because you want certain characters to be evil. You want certain characters to be sympathetic and heroic. And we seem to be forgetting or less willing to explore it properly. Like, I understand the impulse. You don't want to give Roy Tillman an inch. You don't want that character to...
No.
You don't want anyone to be in the position where they go, fuck, he's got a point. But at the same time, isn't that what makes it so interesting? Is that this character had to come from somewhere.
Everyone has a context.
Yeah, everyone has a context. You know, Harvey Weinstein came from somewhere. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he started out in life that way.
We would prefer you to Nerd.
Yeah, exactly. That's what Nerd was about. Like, do these people start that way or do they become that?
Yes.
And that's like a character like Roy Tillman. It would have been good to know, is this just what guys like this are like?
Yeah, now that you mention it, we get
what became of him.
Yeah, we really get nothing about his history.
Yeah.
We know about Dot's history with him, but we don't know anything about who...
Which is kind of important.
His father and grandfather were sheriffs. That's kind of all we get.
Yeah, but it is kind of important because it's like, all of the effects that his character has had on Dot. I mean, it drove her to like run away and start a new life. It'd be good to know where that came from.
It's also interesting, we talked about things being inverted in the season, and there's a No Country for Old Men reference where, with Roy's introduction, he's narrating and he says, my grandfather was sheriff of the state when he was, 24 years old, father too. Basically, No Country for Old Men.
Yeah.
And there's something, you could argue, it's just a reference, just like a playful nod. There's something a little insidious about Tommy Lee Jones, who represents decency in No Country for Old Men, and is an old-fashioned, masculine, Western character. A kind of criticism of that, he's not even macho, that kind of masculinity, and saying, it belies a rapist piece of shit. You know what I mean? There's something about...
Yeah.
But that's, I think they would just say, it's just a reference. It's just, we're not trying to do anything with that.
Yeah.
But then why do it?
But something became of it.
Yeah. So, he was a big problem for me. And I get that anxiety about we really don't want to make him sympathetic. It's not about making him sympathetic. It's about acknowledging that he's a human being. Again, weirdly, going back to Dexter. He has a context. You get why he does the deplorable things he does. You never think it's right. You just know why. No, you're right. We are forgetting that. And there's something in me that is compelled to want to write something about pick the most reviled type of person in modern society. For instance, I don't know, a cop, an actually racist cop that raped and murdered a black woman. Something the worst, and write their story. Just because whether monsters are born or created, they're all actually human.
Yeah.
So, which is interesting because we're the ones arguing this. And we are not the hardcore left-wing liberals that should be arguing that point.
But that's the thing. You want to address the problem. You want to you want to get rid of these people. You want these people to be. You don't want these people to be taken seriously.
Well, listen, you don't want. This is the fundamental issue. You don't want to get rid of these people. You want to rehabilitate these people.
No, you want these people cancelled and out of the way. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. You just want these people beaten without taking any time to understand where these people came from.
Right.
You got to go to the source of the problem.
Absolutely.
If you want to stop these people coming into being. I think weirdly it does start in places like television. Where it's like, right, okay, let's look at these characters. Let's try and understand these characters. Let's see where they came from.
I can't remember who said it, but art is a machine for generating empathy. That's basically its point.
Yeah.
Putting yourself in someone else's shoes. Okay. It's shallower and less subtle than previous seasons. After season 4, I understand the impulse to return to something smaller and simpler, like we said. But keep that to the character count and the story, not the themes.
I don't know what the logical end point is of Fargo.
As in the end of the show.
Yeah, what's the final season of Fargo?
Yeah.
What does that look like? What is that about? The more distance we get from it, the more I think that season 3 probably was the closest thing you could get to the ending of Fargo.
Well, we'll come to... I think the end scene of this season could be a good end to Fargo.
Okay.
But not the season.
Not the season.
But yeah, season 3 is a good final season.
Yeah, because season 3, that's all about... I mean, one of the most iconic things about Fargo is this is a true story.
Right.
At the beginning of everything you see. And that's what season 3 was about. It was about the nature of stories.
And truth, yeah.
And truth.
Yes.
Yeah, really like the picking apart the ethos of Fargo. This one, it just kind of feels like... Was it you who told me that Noah Hawley's under kind of... For him, this TV show, every season is a chapter in the book of American crime.
Yeah.
This just feels like another chapter. This doesn't feel like... So I'm assuming he's not going to make every chapter of that book.
Well, we'll come back to that because that's something I want to address as well.
But it doesn't feel like if you were like, handpicking important chapters from this book, this doesn't feel like it would be one of them.
No. Also, it's set in 2019, so we will definitely come back to that.
Okay.
The no picture that you talked about is funny.
Yes.
It's also an emblem for the season's lack of subtlety.
Okay.
I think that is the season in a nutshell.
Yeah.
I don't know why this was the season they chose to highlight the definition of Minnesota nice at the beginning.
Okay.
In the first episode, it begins with a dictionary definition of it.
Yeah.
It implies that this will be the element of the Fargo universe, like you just talked about with Truth and Stories, that they intend to explore and unpack, but nothing comes of it. It's the same as every other Fargo thing.
Okay,
It's not like Roy Tillman comes across as a nice bloke.
No, but I would contest that just because that final scene is kind of about that. It's about...
What?
Well, it's about love triumphing evil.
But that's not what Minnesota nice is.
What was the definition?
Minnesota nice is the surface politeness that everyone has in that universe that is masking their actual contempt.
Yeah, and at the end of the show, all contempt is erased in that little environment.
I don't agree with that.
Okay, all right.
Minnesota nice is all about the veneer of hospitality.
Okay, and at the end, it's actual hospitality that saves the day.
That's a stretch.
Okay.
I really think that's a stretch, but we'll come back to that as well. Yes, the Tiger narration that Jason Schwartzman does is purely playing the greatest hits. It adds nothing whatsoever, and it's actually a bit goofy.
Yeah.
The Camp Utopia Dream, similarly, that's just a needle drop. It's the kind of thing Fargo would do. Much of the season feels like a diluted revisitation. Even the cadence of the dialogue grows bothersome after a while. Because you feel like, they're doing Fargo. Maybe Noah Hawley's bag of tricks is emptying, in which case it's time to concentrate on other projects. It is, however, superior to season 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. So another big problem of the season.
Oh dear, okay.
If you or someone you know has been affected by any of the issues depicted in this, that's a problem.
You got a problem with people seeking help, Sam?
I do. Here's why.
Oh, okay.
It's not Fargo. It makes it feel like a movie of the week. Maybe its inclusion was at the studio's insistence. I can see that. But Fargo operates on a different plane than this. You could argue that it fits with the true story opening text, we're telling a true story. So, but I disagree, because after that text, you're plunged into this unbelievable true crime story with these bizarre, sometimes supernatural goings-on, because it happened. There's no choice but to tell it that way, because it's the way it was. It's inevitable. Putting up a number for the National Domestic Abuse Helpline, of course one seems monstrous for quibbling, but it drags the show into another definition, that it was created with an awareness-raising social agenda, as opposed to simply documenting the unspooling of these balmy happenings in the Midwest. It's not issue-tainment. It's a chapter in a book about crime in the Midwest.
Yeah.
We've seen the book in the show. And to me, it belongs on a dusty shelf in a library, which no one will probably ever read.
Right.
So, which brings me to my next point, actually.
Okay.
The 2019 setting was always something that inspired a bit of dread because of the political climate at the time. So when Trump actually pops up in the show, the brakes started screeching a little bit for me. It's just too recent. For me, 2019 is just too recent. These stories being buried in the past, often not even the distant past, lends them a mythic dimension.
Well, that's going to be my next question. Is this the shortest gap between when the season is set and the present day?
It probably is, but not by much, actually.
Okay,
and
so
it's not so much... It's not the gap that's the issue for me.
Well, because that was going to be my follow-up question, is why is this one in particular, why is this an issue for you?
Okay, so the film is set in 1987, right? And it came out in 96.
Yeah.
The first season is set in 2006, came out in 2014. So yeah, like I said, not major gulfs. The reason this is different is because the world now is not what it was then. It was smaller, and time was slower.
Okay.
2010 is as late as you can go for me with Fargo. These stories could have been obscure in 2010 and pre. Not anymore. Yeah, time was slower. There was those little gulfs felt longer. 2019 feels like nothing. Nothing at all. We were doing the podcast in 2019. It doesn't feel that long ago. It's just not, it doesn't feel like enough of a perspective. Enough time to have enough of a perspective. Whereas 2017 to 2010, it weirdly does. I can't, maybe it's my age. Maybe it is that. But 2024 to 2019 just feels like, oh, you're just doing Trump.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the conclusion.
Okay.
Not the final scene, but the conclusion of the season. Surprise, surprise, it ends up as a siege on a ranch compound. The people I thought would die did, pretty much. I thought Roy would die, and they obviously tried to subvert that expectation. But they end up with something that your mum would think of, which is him, not your mum in particular, but your mum would think of, which is, oh, you know what? He should be put in prison, and he should have done to him what he did to all those poor women. And that's what they do.
Right.
That'll show him.
Yeah, and my problem with that is that, I mean, I think it's all part of the rhetoric of that caricature that Roy Tillman is inhabiting. Because by the end, it is a caricature, isn't it? Like
yeah.
But he kind of says that, oh, the system is rigged and they're against us. It's part of his speech to the militia.
Yeah.
It's like, everyone's out to get you. Fight back, basically. And Jennifer Jason Leigh kind of accidentally proves him right. Because
she is the system.
She is the system. Yeah. And the entire prison has been paid off to make his life hell. So he was absolutely right. The system was against him.
Well, I remember reading that in the finale, you have like the two local police forces working with the FBI and actually communicating to bring down Roy. And all the idea was, Hawley wanted to show it's important that we show cooperation and the police aren't blah, 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 which, fine. But they're only there because Lorraine calls in a favour to the president and says, you need to dispatch these people to this ranch. It's not like they've done due diligence and they're doing the right thing. They're just, someone is pulling the strings above them, So I don't know if it proves the point that he wanted it to prove. So his fate is juvenile, if just. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve that, but it's kind of like a kid's idea of it, Also, Roy's ranch foreman was a black man.
I don't even remember this.
Yeah, his ranch foreman who he sends out to get rid of bodies and all that kind of thing. And there's no sense that he hates this guy or has any racist feelings towards him. But his prison spiel at the end implies he's an out-and-out racist, because of course it does. Right. He's talking about, prison's the way the world should be, the races are separated and there's supremacy within races. And it's like, where'd that come from? It's because he's a fascist. Zero nuance. Isn't it actually more interesting to have someone who's a misogynist, who's kind of a survivalist American, fuck the law, fuck taxes guy, who's not racist? Why would he be racist?
Yeah.
I was watching something about I just thought of this, the Westboro Baptist Church.
Okay.
And the kind of matriarch, the daughter of the patriarch of that family who kind of became a matriarch, something Phelps. She is obviously, they're fiercely homophobic. They'll go to funerals and protest gays.
Right.
She's a civil rights lawyer.
Oh, shit, okay.
Which is an irony, amongst ironies, but she has no problem with black people. Doesn't say in the Bible, so she has no problem with black people. It's like, why would she? It's not like we hate every marginal person. You know what I mean? It's like...
See, what's interesting about that is that, in a way, it is still an unnuanced view, because she's taken everything from the Bible.
No, it's unnuanced in terms of a Christian fundamentalist.
Yeah.
Though it's hard in reality to be a nuanced Christian fundamentalist because... an unnuanced Christian fundamentalist, because you have to ignore as much as you stick to. The whole idea of the New Testament is, that, bloody shit in the Old Testament? We're writing over that.
Yeah.
So you actually have to ignore quite a lot to be a fundamentalist, which is another irony in ironies. But it's certainly a liberal's caricature of a right-winger, which is any marginalised group they don't like. Anyone that's not white, male, they hate, which is just, for the most part, isn't true. The epic showdown between the survivalists and the cops isn't.
Right.
They barely have a gunfight. There's one quick little thing. The closing moments of episode 9 are incredibly contrived. So Dot is looking for a place to hide from Tillman while the police are coming. She leaves her gun outside the well so that she can hide inside. Don't know why she doesn't take the gun with her, but whatever. She's discovered. Ula kills them, then lifts her out because it's unfair to fight a tiger in a cage. I can live with that. That's fine. Then gives her the gun and tells her she's free as she marches off to kill Roy. But she already had the gun. So why isn't she going back to hiding? What changed?
Yeah.
You know?
No, absolutely.
The tiger is now free. But, okay, I'll just go back to hiding. Yeah. And I understand why Dot would visit Whit's grave, but not Indira. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Okay.
It's a guy she talked to like 3 times. You know, it's one of those things where because he was important in the show, he has to be important to the characters as well.
Yeah.
The final scene, though, is very good.
Yes.
And goes some way to convincing you that the season was good.
Oh, okay.
to forgive the season's flaws. As does the music, which you could put over anything and you'd win me over. It's the redemptive answer to No Country for Old Men. The scene where Shigur is with Llewellyn's wife. It's that scene, but the kind of other side of the coin, as it were. It could be the ending of the whole show, I think. Anton Shigur basically trying to justify his orientation in the universe, but it's all in vain because he keeps getting interrupted by a family extending him basic niceties.
Yeah.
There's something really funny about that. And that domesticity mingling with the ethereal and conquering it. The sublime and the ridiculous duality of the show microcosm, like in season 2, which we talk about a lot, where Peggy's about to launch into her diatribe about how women are oppressed. And Lou just goes, people are dead, Peggy, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
The down-to-earth beating up highfalutin. And for all of Fargo's inexplicability, if the ultimate resolution of the show is love vanquishes evil, I'm okay with that. It's just a shame they didn't punctuate a better season. You agree with that?
Yeah, I would agree.
Incidentally, if the takeaway of the season is that the virtuous thing is to forgive debt, if debt was the evil of the season, and it was, with Ula's vendetta, Roy's reclaiming of Dot because it was owed to him, you pointed this out. Surely Lorraine is the worst offender.
Yeah.
She's the queen of debt.
Yes.
And I don't think that's, one of those ironies. That's not making sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that should have... Lorraine's a weird one in general, because I never really knew what the show thought of her, and what the show thought that we thought of her.
You're meant to not like her, and then when she comes over to Dot's side, you're meant to, when she says to her, no daughter of mine is going to back down, you're meant to have that lump in your throat kind of thing.
Yeah, I suppose. But she is such an antagonistic force in the beginning, and as you say, they seem to set her up as a right-wing caricature and then just immediately drop it.
Yeah.
And even in the moments where I think you are supposed to be on her side, I think like halfway through the show, she's still got it in for Dot, but she has a meeting with these male bankers.
Yeah.
Who seem to like, oh, we're going to screw her over on this deal or something. Or
they're just a bit dismissive of her. They kind of go, the hey lady. And she's, that sets her off.
And then she can like completely ruins their careers. Their lives.
Yeah. And their children's lives.
And their children's lives. And you're supposed to be like, yeah.
Badass bitch.
Yeah.
That's what you're meant to think. But a woman doing the things a man does is virtuous. That's what you need to understand.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. Got it?
Sure. Okay.
No, but it is. That's the way it's conceptualized in these things. And again, it's a shame because it's happened quite a lot recently with filmmakers that I like. I thought he was above that kind of thing. That thing in season 2, for me, is one of the reasons I love the show, which is, oh, don't talk to me about your oppression. Several people have died because of what you've done. Shut the fuck up. You have no right to complain.
Yeah.
This is not... And look, don't get me wrong. Dot is like the heroine, 100%. It's done nothing wrong. Roy should be buried under the prison, as Bill Burr would say. An absolute piece of shit. It just feels a little bit more overly earnest.
Okay.
And that's another thing that's not Fargo. Fargo is heavily ironic.
Yeah. The Holdovers is a Christmas film?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Christmas film starring Paul Giamatti and Dominic Sessa and Davine Joy Randall.
I think it's Divine.
Divine Joy Randall, of course it is.
Yeah, but it's not divine like God. It's look at that vine over there in the ghetto.
Oh,
Divine!
divine.
Yeah.
Why in the ghetto, Sam? Why is that vine specifically in the ghetto?
Because it's divine.
Yeah.
That's how people in the ghetto speak.
Yeah, but surely someone from the ghetto could see a vine anyway and have that reaction.
Okay, it's a vine as described by someone from the ghetto. Happy?
That's better? Yeah, the film is basically just those three. Directed by Alexander Payne. Not written by Alexander Payne?
No, written by David Hemmingson.
Who's
been challenged, actually. There's some... There's a copyright suit against the film at the moment.
Oh, interesting.
Been accused of ripping someone's screenplay off. I haven't looked into it because I don't really care. I care about the right if it is ripped off.
Yeah.
I want the original writer to, but I just like the film.
Yeah.
So I can't, I don't care. Do you know what I mean?
Spoilers.
Yeah, no, I liked it.
Yeah.
No, David Hemmingson, who is hasn't done anything.
Okay.
He wrote a spec pilot about a boarding school, which Alexander Payne read and commissioned him to write a film in the same location.
I see. Okay. And presumably that's what this is.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, the Holdovers. Yeah. So story is pretty simple, actually. It's quite a nice story. I feel like there were a couple of things that have come out in recent years where you kind of hear the synopsis and you go, oh yeah, why haven't we done that before?
Sure.
Banshees of Inisherin is an example. Dream Scenario is an example. Mm-hmm. And now with this, it's Paul Giamatti plays a curmudgeon, a ancient histories curmudgeon, a professor at this boarding school, and he has been given the task of staying at that boarding school over Christmas to supervise all of the students who can't go home for various reasons.
Yes.
And then through circumstances unfolding, it ends up just being him, one student, and the cook.
Yes.
And those are the three actors that I described earlier in the film. And yeah, it's just so very nice.
It is. And not twee.
No.
It's nice with a bite to it.
Mm.
There is a bit of spice in that mix. So it's a throwback to 70s filmmakers like Hal Ashby more than anyone, I would say, who made Harold and Maude.
Yeah.
And Being There. When people think of 70s films, I think a lot of the time they think of Coppola and Scorsese, the Serpico, Godfather, those like New York movies.
Yeah.
This is more the predecessor to Wes Anderson kind of filmmakers.
Yes.
So while it's a throwback to that era, it also reminded me of 90s and early noughties American indie cinema. The soundtrack reminded me of films like Rushmore. Have you seen Rushmore?
Not yet.
No. The next wave of auteur filmmakers should have arisen in the 2010s, but that never really happened, and may never really happen again. So, in a way, this film was a lament for me for what could have been.
Oh dear.
It really is a time capsule, ageless, built to withstand the test of time. This film won't hit the heights of Parasite, but I think its reputation will grow substantially over time.
Yeah, I can see this becoming, in some cases, setting a film at Christmas or dubbing it a Christmas film can really limit its...
I only considered it, to be honest, a Christmas film when you said it.
Yeah.
Even though, the snow, it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah, it's set over Christmas and everything like that. But that's the thing. I watched it around the time of Christmas, and I do feel like watching it at that time really enhanced the film.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't seen it since, but I imagine, that film would have more impact.
Yeah.
Because it seems to embody the kind of... the qualities that you want to embody at that time of the year. Just kind of like generosity and nicety and kind of...
Child death.
Child death, yeah. But just like disparate
redemption.
people coming together.
Redemption.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. I remember your insistence that I watch it around Christmas, and I kept putting it off because of my suspicion that I would really like it. I did watch it in January when it was very cold, if that helps.
Okay.
I mean, we didn't get snow, so how much,
Well, actually, I'm thinking about it. I don't even know why I bothered with you, because you didn't even put up decorations this year, did you?
No.
Yeah.
I'm on my own now.
I think you barely celebrated Christmas at all.
I didn't. I don't have a family.
Okay.
I do have a family.
You can still celebrate Christmas.
No, Christmas it's for you up until a certain point, then it's for your children, Jordan.
What?
Yeah, you have kids.
What?
No, no, that was meant to be grow up.
Okay.
That wasn't me suggesting you have children.
Right.
No, it's fine. Christmas, I'm not Scrooge. I'm just happy to not celebrate it as well. It also feels like a novel to me, like an adaptation of a novel. It has the ring of an adaptation.
Yeah, the dialogue, especially from Paul Giamatti, the dialogue does feel like it's lifted from the page.
Yeah, and the story as well. A lot of writers write about private schools.
Yeah.
or as we call it in the UK, for some reason, public schools, which is the opposite of what they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a life-affirming Catcher in the Rye. It's that, like, it's scholastic setting. It reminded me of my favourite novel, which is Stoner. You know, things about professors. A feeling of gentle melancholy is sprinkled throughout, but that only amplifies its sweetness and its ultimate optimism. Paul Giamatti is magnificent.
Yeah, I really hope. Well, I hoped. There was no chance he was going to win Best Actor.
No, there was.
Was there?
There was a good chance at the beginning of the awards season.
Okay.
And then...
Well, he would have absolutely been my pick.
Same. He's been up and down actor for me over time. Like, you can never deny his commitment to each role, but he can push it to outlandishness a lot of the time. He's an actor that just sort of slipped into the mid-range for me. You're never really excited to see his name attached to anything. He's perfect in this.
Yes.
And deserved the Academy Award. And it's just really refreshing to rediscover a performer, for them to prove themselves again to you.
Yeah.
He masterfully embodies the role of an embittered academic.
Yes.
Divine Joy Randolph deserves the praise, and she deserved all the awards with which she was showered. But I found Dominic Sessa equally, if not more, impressive.
Yeah, I was really disappointed that he didn't get any recognition. And I don't think that's his fault. I think it's just, like, because of the other people that were nominated.
Also, younger actors tend not to be. And I know it's different categories and everything, but it's a shame that he's mostly been confined to the young actor category, you know, young performer.
Yeah.
As opposed to supporting actor, with the exception of the BAFTAs, because, you know, British.
Yes.
The British rule. The script is wonderful. Whenever I say the word wonderful, I feel homosexual. Do you know what I mean?
No.
The script is wonderful.
Well, if you say it homosexually.
Okay, the script is wonderful.
That sounds like you're trying not to say it
But
homosexually.
if you say it without face, then it looks like you're being ironic.
Okay.
The script is wonderful.
Yeah, I didn't believe that.
No, exactly. The dialogue is rich. I think the best way to describe it that I could come up with is a cup of tea for the ears.
Okay, yeah.
Dead Poet Society keeps springing to mind as a comparison. They're doing very different things. This is the superior film. Dead Poet Society is sometimes hampered by the earnestness of the students, all of them striving to live lives like romance poets. In this, the kids threaten to nut punch each other, which, private school trappings notwithstanding, is how teenagers talk to each other. Yes. It doesn't matter how rich you are.
Yeah.
You will threaten to kick a boy in the nuts. The story unfolds much as you'd expect, but that's perfectly okay. For me, it would have been one of two films vying for Best Picture. And yeah, it didn't get anywhere near the recognition it deserved.
No.
You know, I thought maybe the screenplay, like if it gets anything, original screenplay, especially with Barbie out of the mix. It went to Anatomy of a Fall, good script, you know, can't complain too much, but this would have pipped it.
Yeah.
For me.
So do you think that this is, I think you kind of alluded to it earlier, but do you think that this will be discovered and revisited over time?
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's going to become a little indie classic.
Yeah.
I do.
And and I could see people, this being their kind of on their Christmas watch list.
Yeah, and because it is so ageless. What about it? This film could have been made in the 70s, 80s, 90s, noughties, or now. And sometimes that can work against the film. Like, well, you're making it too broad. No, this is specific.
Yeah.
It's also universal.
Yeah, it's the right amount of specificity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, this film hopefully lasts, you know, will stand the test of time forever.
Yeah. Poor
Things is Yorgos Lanthimos' latest feature, although he has another film coming out this year, about a scientist who has created a kind of Frankenstein woman, played by Emma Stone, who is gaining more and more sentience as she develops. So she kind of goes through adolescence in the film and then goes out into the wide world with Mark Ruffalo and experiences a kind of sexual awakening. And the film is about her finding her place in the world. Of course, it's visually stunning.
Yes.
The costumes and the art direction and the cinematography are unique. They're memorable. They deserved nominations.
Yeah.
All the awards.
Yeah, this is one of those films where I don't think any...
Technical.
Yeah, technically you can't fault it. And I don't think there's any, like, actual environments used. It's all designed from scratch.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very ornate, kind of Baroque film, isn't it? Emma Stone delivers an unusually committed performance. Not unusual for her, but uncommon generally. That said, it is a role that demands an unusual level of commitment.
Yes.
Speaking of which, the film was much more explicit than I expected.
Yeah.
In the trailers. There's a lot of sex.
Well, that's the thing. They couldn't really show that in the trailers.
No, I get that. I get that. That's fair enough, but I really didn't expect it. And interestingly, and rightly, I think, I didn't find it titillating. You know, it's not the kind of sex scenes or sex that is meant to be arousing.
I don't know. Because, she is a woman that killed herself.
Yeah.
And she was carrying a baby in her tummy because she was pregnant.
That's how that works.
That's how that works, yeah. And Willem Dafoe, who is Willem Deformed in the film.
There you go.
He, it's the only thing I had written down for poor things. He takes the brain of the baby and puts it into the body of Emma Stone. So it's a full-grown Emma Stone in the beginning acting like a toddler, and as you say, she kind of develops quickly over the course of the film. So, there is a part of you that's like, oh, how old is Emma Stone at the moment while Mark Ruffalo is railing her from behind?
Oh, I never thought that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, by that point, like, she's had a little sexual awakening, but she is still... She still speaks as though she has a young...
As Rami Youssef calls her, a retard.
Yes.
Okay.
A beautiful retard.
A beautiful, pretty retard.
A pretty retard, my mistake, Yeah, so I think I was never disgusted with it, but I think that was in the back of my mind. It's like, she's probably still a child at this point.
That's interesting. No, that's kind of a fair point. I mean, she's ageless in a way, isn't she? Like, her brain develops, but obviously she's a young woman, actually, like 30 or whatever. Yeah, it's such a fantastical presentation that I suppose I never really thought about her mental age. You know what I mean? She's Frankenstein. She's not a woman child. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah, and I wonder if what the intent was there, whether the idea was that, she starts out as a baby and becomes an adult in a short period of time, or is it a case of she always has the same mental age, but she's starting with nothing? So even,
what do you mean, Clark?
Well, it's the brain of a baby, but obviously when a baby is born, it doesn't know anything. It cries, and that's that. Because it doesn't know anything, and then you teach it things as it becomes older. And she never had that. She's just existed one day. So she has no memories, no knowledge, no understanding of anything.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that was the idea, is that, she's not a child, but she's just come into being, so she has nothing to work with.
Basically, yeah. Yeah, ageless in that way. Like I said, it's a science fiction conceit, right? So it's kind of... There's no logic to it. It's purely sci-fi fantasy sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it's clearly what they're trying to show is the female maturity. You know, she discovers the joys of masturbation when she's a teenager, if you like, and then... mostly it's verbal and sexual development more than anything else.
Yeah.
Over the course of the film, that's what they focus on. She's also very funny.
Yes.
She is funny. Mark Ruffalo's accent is off.
I'd say Mark Ruffalo in general is off.
Is off, yeah, but obviously he's going for the Toffalo. I didn't have that.
We've got to think of one for Emma Stone.
I know, yeah. Emma Boned.
Yeah?
Emma Boned. That's going to come across misogynist, isn't it? Because they're defined by the characteristics. She's defined by what men do to her.
Well,
the characteristics.
Men do it to her a lot in this film,
they do.
right?
They do. I know, he's off in general, but his accent is meant to be, oh, how dare you, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's not a good accent, but if anything, it helped make him more insufferable, so that worked.
Yeah, I don't know, I thought it would work more in his favour.
Yeah, no, I expected him to be the kind of the standout, the breakout of the film.
I remember watching that trailer with you, that first trailer with you. It's only like a minute long. It's really short for a trailer.
Yeah.
But then, I guess, what do you show when you're advertising this? And the trailer's punctuated by that wonderful slap. Mm-hmm. And then there's that great pause, and he just goes, ow. Yeah. And it's such a strange delivery.
Yeah.
I thought, that's going to be the performance. It's going to be so strange that it's funny.
Yeah.
And it's not. It has the opposite effect, as you say. It makes him unlikable.
I mean, I'm not saying he's never funny. He's meant to be funny. I mean, insufferable in the way he's meant to be insufferable. You know, that he's a prick.
Yeah.
He has his moments, but he didn't wow me at all. I typically don't like Rami Youssef, and I don't like him in real life. You know, I don't like the guy I've seen in interviews and stuff, and I don't like the show he did. But I thought he was pretty good.
Okay.
Defoe does the Defoe thing.
Yeah, Defoe does what he needs to do in this.
It's funny. The humour is very Lanthimosian, to coin a term. It reminded me a lot of The Lobster and to some extent The Killing of a Sacred Deer. these sudden penetrations of lowbrow jokes. Ridiculous lines delivered completely straight.
Yeah.
So the one that I made a note of is, "She grabbed my hairy business."
Yes.
Her evolving dialogue must have been really fun to write.
Yeah.
There are Lynchian elements, the black and white scenes obviously reminiscent of Eraserhead, especially the dinner table stuff. Defoe's party trick has that unsettling, inexplicable things coming out of gurgling body sound.
Yeah,
like
and
Twin Peaks.
it's all the stranger when, I mean, the first time that we see it happen, she's at the dinner table with him and she's still young, quote unquote, at this point. So she applauds when the bubble explodes.
Like a trick, yeah.
Yeah, and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Well, that's very, very Twin Peaks. There's also the graphic, crunchy splatter like with the frog, which is just Lynch.
Yes.
And Terry Gilliam, his works are also obvious comparisons. I would say the most obvious one is Terry Gilliam.
Yeah.
I personally best enjoyed it when I psychologically stripped away its allegorical component.
Oh, okay.
So, in the beginning, one is with its spirit in toto.
Mm.
The more enlightened she becomes, the more the film can sometimes veer into being a bit stupid or overly broad. So the line I made a note of is, does the whoring thing challenge the desire for ownership that men have? If you're with someone,
yeah,
you shouldn't whore. I know Mark Ruffalo is, he's kind of manipulating her and he is a man-child and he's horrible to her. But that line is meant to be broader than that, It's aiming for a broader target than that. And I just think, when you were doing the smaller, not smaller, but the more specific Victorian stuff, I was more with you.
It's difficult because that is kind of the whole thing.
No, I know. The allegory is the thing. But if you contain it to, it's a condemnation of Victorian attitudes to women, fine. I'm completely on board.
Mm.
But the film is obviously trying to make broader points about society now and women now. And, I don't agree. When it goes there, I'm not with it.
Right.
I will say, though, I was somewhat won back by her relationship with Max and God. Of course, the latter wasn't the ideal paternal figure, but he did give her life, which she acknowledges. And Max has all the makings of a nice guy is actually a piece of shit turn, but they didn't go that way, and I appreciated that.
Yeah.
For what's being described everywhere as a feminist parable, I can't say I was left with a hell of a lot to complain about on that side of things.
Mm.
Like I said, more than anything, it seems to be a critique of Victorian masculinity, other than those occasions where it makes its target a bit too large.
Okay.
I kept waiting to fall in love with this film, and it just never happened.
Yeah, that's the thing. If I list all of the things, if I were going to list all of the things I like about it, it would sound like I'd pretty much describe everything that there is. The craft is brilliant, like you said, the cinematography is striking, the design is very striking, all the performances are really good, including Emma Stone. She is, I completely get why she won the Oscar.
Deservedly won the
Oscar. The score is appropriately weird and discordant, and it just, it's presented with a lot of confidence, the film.
Yeah.
Like, you can tell that this isn't his first film, that he knows what he's doing at this point, Yorgos Lanthimos. So why did it take me 5 sessions to watch it, Sam?
I think it's that it comes down to when you divide all of its various elements, they're all good, but the whole is lesser than the sum of its parts. I think it's one of those things. Ultimately, I think just the story isn't that compelling to us.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. Like, everything's great. I can't complain. 10 out of 10 on everything.
Yeah.
But if I don't care about the story, that's it. It's just not that. Yeah, it's just not that compelling. It's not that gripping.
I wonder what it would have been like if this were a TV show, because you could do it.
Yeah. Like,
the first episode is her and God, and then the second episode she runs off with Mark Ruffalo. The third episode is them in, not Paris, wherever they first start. Rome, is it?
Yeah, or Barcelona. I mean, the film is divided into chapters, so...
Yeah, and they could be episodes. And it's the type of story where, because they're showing the evolution of a character, they kind of have to put her in all of these different situations to kind of facilitate that evolution. And so it does feel very episodic at times.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't holding my attention, even though I was like, but why? I like all of this.
It's a really basic story, ultimately.
Yeah. Oh, I think that was the other thing as well, is that when you become accustomed to the weirdness of it, and to a lot of people that have not seen Yorgos Lanthimos' stuff before, or just haven't really seen much, like some of the examples you gave, like Lynch and all of that. Yeah, the first time they watch this, they're just going to look at it and go, it's fucking insane.
So, like Saltburn.
Like, whoa, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
If you're a bit more accustomed to it, and if you even reach the point during the film where you kind of tune into its weirdness, what's left?
Right. Yeah, the whole point of the mise-en-scène is it presents the kind of film it is. You go, okay, that's the kind of film it is. I'm tuned into its frequency. Now, rivet me.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, I watch everything. You watch a hell of a lot. We're not going to be alienated by such, ornate set dress. It's that kind of, okay, that's the design of it. Let's go. There are things that I like anime that, for me, I just can't do that. I can't get into the mise-en-scène of anime. But everything else, that's the setup, cool, right, what now? And yeah, the what now ends up being a very basic story with, some obvious themes. You know where it's going to go, and you know what it's going to try and say. It's, there are flashes of weirdness that you obviously don't expect. But, I mean, I knew what this film was going to do before I saw the film. I knew it was going to be a feminist parable. And I have no problem with that. It's just, it didn't do anything, the story didn't do anything surprising. Everything else was surprising.
Yeah.
It's a film I admire on many levels, but yeah, it never crossed that threshold. For all its accoutrement, and for all its aesthetic, and its absurdism, it's very, very prosaic. All in all, pretty good, not spectacular.
Doctor Who turned 60 last year, Sam.
I thought he was like 3,000 years old.
Oh, very funny. Yeah, the show turned 60 last year. Doctor Who, long-running shows like that, they like to mark the occasion. Obviously, when it turned 50 in 2013, we had that big 50th anniversary special. Matt Smith, David Tennant, John Hurt.
The Wookiees.
What?
The Wookiees.
The Wookiees?
I always, when we talked before about, because Doctor Who is such it's not just a piece of art, it's also a national institution, so it has to have a relationship with things like comic relief and,
Yeah.
Whenever things like that have specials, I just always think of the Star Wars holiday special.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't quite that.
No, it's not that bad.
It wasn't quite that, no. But yeah, it was released in cinemas. I went to see it in the cinema with my sister. It was...
Nerd!
No, don't be like that. You would totally, if you were into a show like that...
I would.
Yeah.
But, give me the show. It's the show that...
Lost?
It's not going to the cinema as the nerdy bit. It's the fact it was for Doctor Who.
Yeah, but like if Lost were like, oh, we're gonna release an episode in cinemas, you'd go.
Too many questions.
Okay.
Joanne, because who's doing it? Is it now? We can't go into that.
All right.
It's too grand a hypothetical.
Sure, okay. Anyway, yeah.
Call me a nerd.
Yeah, it was a massive thing, the 50th anniversary of Doctor Who. This one less so. I feel like that's fair to say.
I don't really think about it, to be honest.
Yeah, that's the thing. It felt like a couple of Doctor Who episodes. It did not feel like, here's the 60th anniversary.
Well, 60 isn't 50, 50 is a round number.
Yeah,
75 will be the next
50's a big one.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll give a bit more context. Yeah, just to kind of mark the occasion, Doctor Who did 3 episodes.
Yes.
Kind of a very, very mini-series. 3 episodes that starred David Tennant, not as the 10th Doctor, but as the canonical 14th Doctor.
Sure.
So instead of being the character that we knew back in the glory days...
Though it is.
Yeah. Canonically, it's not.
Okay.
And that's the bit where the nerds come in and go, but it's not actually the thing, it's the other thing.
Those other people.
Yeah. That's not one of them sitting here right now. Yeah. So they brought back David Tennant to play the character, different version of the same character, even though it's the same character, same guy.
It is the same character.
Literally the same.
I didn't even know. I mean, I kind of knew he was the 14th Doctor, but I thought that just meant, because he's come back, we're considering him the 14th Doctor.
Yeah.
He was 12th and 14th. I didn't think it was meant to be another iteration of the character.
Yeah, it's another iteration.
But he turns up, meets Catherine Tate, and is just...
Yeah, Catherine Tate's back too.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to do a big thing about that.
No.
But I just thought, like, oh yeah, I know you. It's the same guy.
Yeah, but it's a different guy.
Whatever.
Yeah, anyway. So yes, they did 3 episodes to kind of mark the occasion. Russell T Davies is back as showrunner. I think a lot of the producers that kind of produced Doctor Who at the time, they're back as well.
Yeah.
It's basically Doctor Who hit the point where it realised that it was fucking shit.
Yeah.
And completely irredeemable. And so it went, right, fuck it. Let's just do exactly what we were doing when it was good.
And Disney are now involved, yeah?
And Disney are now involved. It has Disney money behind it.
So, yeah, this is kind of 2 specials and then the Christmas special, which
3 specials.
No. 2 specials and then the third special.
Yeah, there's 4 specials. The Christmas episode is the 4th special.
Oh, okay. Well, we're talking about that as well.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So 4. Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
Yeah.
3 specials.
See, you need a nerd to get details like this right.
That's not. I've written notes for the reviews of the 4 episodes, so I didn't know.
So
that.
why have you got it wrong then?
I just forgot. I can't even remember. Shut up. The point I was making was that the Christmas episode, or the New Year, whatever the last one was, is meant to function as the first episode of Series 14.
Which is also Series 1?
Yeah, they've kind of which I'm fine with me.
Yeah.
But
just fucking start again.
Start again, yeah. Even though they're not really.
No.
But whatever, okay. So what's the first episode called?
The first episode... Fuck, now you're asking the questions.
Oh, not so much a nerd after all.
No, bear with me. I'm buffering. Star Beast. The Star Beast.
The Star Beast, okay. The Star Beast. So, the little address to camera at the beginning, filling you in on events, is weird. Because they've never done that, right?
They kind of have. They've done weird, non-diegetic things like that before.
Okay.
I think there was an episode with Capaldi. It was the second part of a 2-parter where the whole introduction is just him talking to camera.
Okay.
Kind of, what was it? Bootstrap paradox. Kind of explaining that.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
It felt a bit unnecessary.
I would agree, because it doesn't really... It kind of says, like, oh, there was this person called Donna and this happened.
Yeah.
But it doesn't... Yeah, I feel like a lot of that could have been picked up as you go.
I think you would have, yeah. You would have gleaned all that. Catherine Tate remains grating.
Yeah, you were never a fan of Catherine Tate,
were you?
I was not as much of a fan of her as you are.
Yeah. I think she's fucking dreadful.
Okay.
I can't stand her.
Okay.
I cannot stand her. Tennant can be gurning, because I know it's pitched to the younger audience.
Yeah.
But, I'm not a younger audience, so when I watch it and he's going, but why? In that opening thing, it's a bit like, oh, that was a lot, as Louis C.K. would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pitched to a younger audience, and that's fine, but the pitch of the performances can make it a bit alienating. Huh?
Because...
Alien?
Yeah.
Rose is bad.
Oh, I have nothing positive to say about the Star Beast. Should we just...
let me just check.
Okay.
Yeah, me neither.
No. Okay.
The little look. So yeah, basically a lot of micro notes, because I hated the whole thing. A lot of micro notes that are going to then feed into a little breakdown of wokeism.
Okay.
In art with a capital F. The little look that Tate gives the grandmother when she accidentally calls Rose him is emblematic of the thinking that you can ask a 70-year-old woman to accept this very new thing and even embrace it and worry about getting it wrong, but she'd better not slip up.
Yeah.
I watched that and I go, she's 70.
Yeah.
And she's like using the pronoun that they want.
This is not the world she was brought up in.
No.
Give her some credit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then it's great because Donna talks about the feeling that she's missing something, like something's gone. It's meant to be the doctor, but in my head, I just, well, a sun springs to mind.
Okay.
I love the fact that the Meep, who's the creature of the episode, is introduced as an allegory to Rose, other, and ends up being a vindictive monster. I love that unintentional bit of self-recrimination. There's a Sikh bloke that is like he's head of a search patrol at one point. He's wearing a turban.
Yeah.
Seek and destroy. I could not make the note. Okay. Seek and destroy. They ask the Meep's pronoun. I think he says it's a him, and then Rose goes, oh, that's very,
Yeah.
Whatever. Ask the Meep's pronoun. Yeah. But any species that's evolved the technology for interplanetary travel has not been bogged down with such bullshit as pronouns. They've got beyond that.
So imagine, like advancing your racist technology to the point where you can visit other planets
and still be worried.
Yeah, well, and you settle down on that planet and you're speaking to the alien species for the first time, and they're like, "What are your pronouns?"
Yeah,
you're just like, "Oh, fuck.
This planet's a write-off."
Yeah,
destroy it. Yeah, the non-binary twist at the end, whatever that thing is.
Okay, this is not a micro note, Sam. This is
I know,
big fucking problem.
So let's start with the fact that was. Do you want to explain that twist? Because I can't even quite understand it.
Yeah, you're kind of assuming that I understood it.
Okay. Well, let's just talk about how it's presented then.
Okay.
Not the actual science of it. They're gonna die.
Yeah.
I actually can't remember. I remember the stakes are high.
Yeah. Okay, so my understanding of it, I mean, this is a problem that I have with the episode as well. They wanted to bring back Catherine Tate.
Yeah.
All right, okay. That story was pretty conclusively tied off.
Okay.
She doesn't remember the doctor. She can't remember the doctor or she'll die. And they won the lottery. The doctor made sure that they had comfortable lives.
The knot was tied.
The knot was tied. That story was done.
Yes.
No reason to bring Catherine Tate back.
Sure.
But we have to bring Catherine Tate back because that's when the show was good.
Right.
So what do we have to do? We have to undo everything. Turns out she gave all the money to charity. Mm-hmm. So now they're just living in a shitty semi-detached in the house. Turns out that, yeah, she can still not... She can't remember the doctor, but her transgender child inherited some of the stuff that Donna has that allowed her to kind of take the doctor's wisdom and intelligence.
Okay.
And because she's non-binary, she's able to overpower the thing that would have killed Donna.
Yeah, okay.
And so Donna survives, and not only does she survive, but she's able to just dismiss that power. It's not a part of her anymore.
She's gonna die, right? And then why is she gonna die? What's she do that causes her to almost die?
They're in a spaceship that's going to blow up.
Yes.
And they can't disable the ship in time.
Yeah. Okay. Right, okay. But then why...
They're in like a partitioned room, and so the doctor says, oh, I have to awaken the Dr. Donna in you because I need someone with my intelligence to help.
I see, okay. And if she remembers him, she's going to die.
Yeah.
Right, I see, okay. Let's acknowledge the fact that non-binary twist was purely born out of the lucky accident that binary is something she said whenever ago.
Yeah.
Binary, that whole thing.
The whole Dr. Donna storyline is weird to me because it feels like they latched onto something that was completely not important.
Right.
And made it really important.
Okay.
Like when the Ood said the Dr. Donna, I thought that was just a thing the Ood said. Like, oh, they're Ood, they're weird, they're alien. Like, oh, they think of the Doctor and Donna as like one entity, the Dr. Donna. And then that ended up becoming real.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah.
That comes back again in this series of specials, actually, where throwaway lines, what you'd think of throwaway lines, generate plot. You can look at that as a good or a bad thing. But yeah, so you fuse that silly, poetic wordplay logic with trendy ideology, and you have some special kind of stupid.
Oh, yeah. Being transgender saved the universe.
Well, Rose is trans, not non-binary.
But is she, though?
Yeah.
Because you can be many things nowadays, Sam.
You can't be both.
No, you can be.
You can't be trans and non-binary.
No, you can be.
No, she was born Jason.
Yes.
Became Rose.
Yeah.
A girl.
Yeah.
Can't call it him.
Yeah.
It's a woman. It's a male to female transgender person. It's not non-binary.
But they're also
non-binary. Are theys and thems. And
yeah,
all that
but
shit.
if they identify as non-binary, then they are
whatever.
Then that is so.
Whatever. But that's a contrivance. Rose is presented as a trans character.
It does feel like an unnecessary layer.
Yeah.
Like if you want to make their identity pivotal to the story, like in any other circumstance, you would try and keep that plot point as uncloudy as possible.
Right. Yeah. What is make her non-binary?
Yeah.
Make her non-binary. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that, and the male presenting. They call him a male presenting Time Lord would understand.
That was funny.
And we're women, so we are better. It's just gross.
It was funny because that scene where she says that you're a male presenting Time Lord, so you don't understand what every woman understands. That's that you can just let it go. And both my mother and my aunts went fuck off.
Excellent.
Yeah,
I probably said it at the same time because I was watching it alone. So there's probably a psychic. Actually,
there's no woman on the planet that would just let something go.
Well, I'm not saying that, but I just the fucking.
Well, don't act as though that's just an inherent trait of women.
The arrogance of it.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing female about letting go. That's not a feminine
women
trait.
Yeah, like famously, don't let go of things.
Grudges.
Yeah, they hold grudges. They will wear you down and dismantle
old,
you.
You know, the hokey, hacky comic thing is. You know, boys when they fall out will have a punch up or whatever, and then next time they see each other, like, oh, all right, bro.
Yeah.
Whereas women will destroy your life. Now, obviously, these are
generalizations,
of course, but just the arrogance of it. You know, we are women. You're a male presenting Time. You know, it's just women. It's the Barbie thing. Women are better. That's all you can take away from it. So I want to talk about something.
All right.
Up until around 2015, woke entertainment was essentially monopolized by Spike Lee.
Okay.
He was the only one doing it. When I say woke, I don't mean liberal, I don't mean left-leaning, because that's just film. I'm not talking about Brokeback Mountain or 12 Years a Slave. Race and gender and sexuality have been talked about in cinema and television for decades. But go back and watch some random Oscar bait movie about slavery from the 90s. It might be boring, it might be a lot of things, but I defy you to be annoyed by it. Aside from the excesses of the ideology and its, in my view, utter wrong-headedness, veering more than occasionally into outright moral rot, the thing that principally distinguishes woke from liberal on an experiential level is that it's just incredibly fucking annoying. The woke trend really begins around 2015 with the intersectionalities and the assists and all that kind of thing. In film, you have the didactic branch of the phenomenon, like Dear White People or The Hate You Give. There are genre films that deal with themes of race, sexuality, etc., like Get Out. We have things like Hidden Figures and Moonlight that exist for the sake of representation. And then we move on to things like Black Panther, where race is definitely a factor, but it's not all about it. It's a superhero film that happens to have an almost exclusively black cast. Irritating strings of wokeism may be laced throughout all of these things, and I'm not saying they're all bad, some are. But then we have films like Ghostbusters and Ocean's 8 that just hijack pre-existing franchises and flip the genders. Now maybe this prognostication will go nowhere at all, but I worry that the Star Beast marks a development or devolution of the trend. Works wherein divergent characteristics, rather than being incidental or, let's face it, tokenistic, are the very nature of the character's power or the character's virtue. They're a hero because they're gay, because they're black, because they're non-binary. Do you agree with that?
I'm trying to think. Was it The Predator? The most recent, Prey is the most recent Predator film. The Shane Black one.
Yeah.
I think, if I remember correctly, because I didn't actually see it, but I saw a lot of video essays on it, I think that there's an autistic kid in the film.
Yeah, Jacob Tremblay, I think.
Yeah, probably, yeah. And his autism is instrumental in them defeating the Predator.
Well, I haven't seen it. I can't comment on that. I mean, autism has been at the center of many film, because of their autism, whatever. I don't have so much a problem with that because autism is a very complicated thing. Obviously, it can be incredibly debilitating, destroy families and that kind of thing. But then you have, people who are autistic can have incredible memories, draw entire cities from one helicopter ride like that, So, you never call it a superpower, but there can be elements of autism that
can enhance,
that are functionally superpowers, I'm talking about the things that you're black, that something that just have absolutely no meaning, that should have absolutely no meaning. It hasn't historically, and so I understand why it has it on a different level now.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta... Sorry, go on.
I was just saying, but it shouldn't be the reason someone's good.
No, absolutely not. But you do need to remember that this is a modern BBC show.
Oh, I know.
And so it is probably much further ahead on the woke trajectory than everyone else.
Probably.
All the complaints we have about like Hollywood and the way that they're handling female characters and storytelling at the moment, BBC are doing much worse at it.
No, 100%. And we might be, in many arenas, approaching the end of the swing. So the pendulum at the moment, it's been unidirectional. The woke thing, right? It's been getting worse since 2015. There are indications that we might, in some ways, be leaving certain things behind. We'll see. Like I said, I hope that BBC isn't kind of the Star Beast anyway, isn't the shape of things to come. Yeah.
Do you have any examples, out of curiosity, about these sort of like indicators that we might be coming to the end of the swing?
The fact that Disney films where, they're casting black Snow White, whatever it is, Latina Snow White, people just not interested in seeing them.
Yeah.
All of these experiments in rewriting history, or kind of these tokenistic castings, people on the ground just aren't having any of it.
Yeah.
And then, like the failure of Madam Web and all these kinds of things. I think the studios are starting to see... Look, all the studios care about is money.
Yeah.
And if this stuff starts affecting their bank accounts, they will change course. The problem is the culture around it. These films inform culture and culture informs politics. Andrew Breitbart always said politics is downstream from culture, and that's 100%. People's politics are informed by the culture they consume, not the other way around. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Okay.
So on to the second episode, which is called
Wild Blue Yonder, I believe.
Wild Blue Yonder.
Okay, so this is interesting because it might even give credence to what you've just said.
No.
Yeah, because the first episode, the Star Beast, it does feel like when the baton was passed from Chris Chibnall to Russell T Davies, feels like Russell T Davies just kind of kept a lot of
It's a sin thing. Is that what you meant?
No, like I'm talking more about like Chibnall's kind of the fact that the show was shit and the fact that the show was woke.
Yeah.
A lot of that was carried, even though like instantly it was more dynamic and interesting than watching a Chris Chibnall episode. There were a lot of trappings that seemed to carry over into the Russell T Davies stuff.
I agree.
And then you get to Wild Blue Yonder, and it feels like it's a Stephen Moffat episode all of a sudden,
right?
Like a return to those fantastic one-off, isolated stories.
Yeah.
Doctor Who has always been at its best when it's working within its constraints. I do think that in this case, because they now have Disney money, they're no longer working within their means. They've seen that their means are expanded, and so their ambition has expanded as well.
Sure.
And so there are instances in this episode where there are these big, wide CGI shots, and they don't look good.
They don't.
Like, even by, modern television standards, they do not look good.
No, they don't.
They haven't used the Disney money to kind of improve what they were doing already. They went, we can do more now.
Yeah.
And the effects are a big letdown in this episode in general, and I think as we go into detail, there's probably little problems with the script as well that kind of let the episode down. But it's by far the strongest one of the three.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. It's
100%.
like the first, approaching good episode of Doctor Who that we've had for years.
Wild Blue Yonder.
Yeah.
I think it's good.
I think it's categorically.
I think it's a good episode, yeah.
Okay.
I think it approaches being a very good episode.
Okay.
I don't know, do I feel more strongly about it than you? We'll see. Okay, but firstly, Isaac Newton wasn't black. Whatever, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, like how much... At some point, you just have to pick your battles.
Well, let's just say this is a good episode, right? So, I just want to say now in case we forget, I think what we can probably expect from here on out, the woke thing is going to stay. Rose is coming back, that I know.
Yeah.
But when he's not doing that, it has a chance to be good. Whereas when Chibnall wasn't doing that, it was still shit.
Yes.
So I think that's the best we can hope for. But whatever. He wasn't black, whatever. The galling bullshit is that he didn't invent the word gravity.
Right, okay.
He didn't invent it. So when he changes it, it should have it doesn't make any sense. Also, why did they call it Mavity? I know it's going to be explained as like, it's rewired their circuits because it's rewritten history or some shit like that.
I think it's that. Yeah,
but they travel outside of time and space. That's the point.
No.
You can't do that.
No, what they did is, if memory serves me correct, they see Isaac Newton, they say gravity to him, he mishears it as Mavity.
Yeah.
And so, from now on, Donna uses the word Mavity.
As does the Doctor.
Yeah, but he notices, he says gravity.
Right.
And Donna says, do you mean Mavity? And he kind of goes, oh, yeah, okay.
Right.
And then from that point on, he calls it Mavity. So he kind of recognises that something has changed.
But why should it, though?
Well, because it has.
Not for them. They're on a different linear path.
No.
Let's not go into it.
Okay.
But it doesn't make sense, I promise you.
Okay.
But the brains are in... Okay. It's the best episode since Heaven Sent.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that.
Yeah, and it's great, because when we reviewed that at the time, I don't think I gave it much due.
Yeah, you went back to it, because I encouraged you to go back to it.
It was in a fog of just Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, it is a good episode, and I was like, but when was that? And it's like 2015 or something.
Yeah, it's season 9.
It's actually a decade ago. There's so much Doctor Who.
Yeah.
That it's the last good episode was actually a decade ago. So here are some of the things that are in Wild Blue Yonder. A robot walking slowly down an infinite corridor.
Riveting.
An airlock. Rivets, like a robot. An airlock opened once 3 years ago. A ship at the edge of the universe. The ship being a bomb. A dead captain tethered forever to the craft. Eerie sci-fi ideas that I really liked.
Yeah.
I really liked it.
It's nice that, they basically just dropped into a giant puzzle.
Yeah.
And what I like about it is the Doctor is obviously supposed to be an incredibly intelligent character.
Yeah.
And usually that manifests as when they go somewhere, the Doctor knows everything about that place. So they'll go to a planet and be like, oh, you're the Faxians.
Yeah.
I remember all of Faxian history that I'm going to reel off to you in this moment.
Yeah.
But what was really nice about this episode is that he had no idea where they were, what was happening. And you can see his process as he's trying to figure it out. Like, he sits in the chair and goes, right, if I can figure out what number 1 to 10 is in this language, I can decode it.
There's a film that I've no idea when it came out. I've no idea what it's called. I've no idea what it is. I saw it on TV at like my grandparents' house a few times when I was a kid. It was just on quite a lot for some reason. And I always remember, it's like these people trapped in this kind of sci-fi QB kind of thing.
Okay.
And there's a scene where they have to traverse lasers, and then I think one of them's killed by the lasers, and then there's another character, this kind of hologram beast thing shows up and it kills him. It's like shonky. It's like either an 80s film or an early 90s film. But it's always stuck with me for some reason. Because it just has a weird, empty vacuum vibe to it.
Yeah.
And this is kind of what this episode had. That sort of, what's going on?
Yeah.
It's just empty out here. Like, there's nothing here.
Yeah, that's the kind of where the monsters come from, isn't it? They, like, right now, they're at the edge of creation.
Yeah.
And something is trying to break through.
And that's great.
Yeah.
That's really good. The graphics, like you said, are business as usual. I mean, I'm okay with Doctor Who at this point having bad graphics. I preferred when it was the older bad graphics.
Yeah, I think the reason that I have a problem with it, because I'm usually very forgiving about Doctor Who, because in a way it's part of its charm.
Yes.
It's the fact that it feels like, instead of going, oh, we have more money so we can refine what we've got, they've gone, we have more money, we can do more. And they can't do more.
Sure.
They're pushing it too far.
Yeah, okay.
Again, they haven't fixed the problem.
Yeah, but like I said, they're business as usual until the backwards bend. Where it dipped to dreadful.
Yeah.
It's like, how could that be that bad? You managed all this other stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway. Great creature idea. Great concept. Slow.
Yeah. And that feels very Moffat as well.
It does.
It's like you can't think around them.
You have to be, your adrenaline, you just have to be slow.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Solid. Very solid. If it wasn't Catherine Tate, it would have been like a 5-star episode for me.
Right. Okay.
Genuinely, great. If that was the show, I'm all in. I mean, I'm all in anyway because we do a podcast.
Yeah.
But I think she is so gurning to me, so grating. I can't take her.
Right.
It's the same face. Ooh, funny line. I just. Yeah, but no, I can't fault the writing really.
Okay.
There's one because it doesn't make much sense. Like if you actually try and
and I think it is. I think it's probably a bit longer than it needs to be as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. And there's something that's said in it that kind of generates the next episode that you just kind of have to be on board to not have a problem with it. But yeah, I really can't complain.
Okay. I think you are more positive about this episode than I am.
Okay.
But I don't think it's a bad episode. It just needed another pass.
Right.
I think. I don't know whether, it was a matter of just improving the CG or tightening it up in editing. But it just wasn't quite finished for me.
Fair enough. And like I said, I don't think it's perfect. Far from perfect. But look, Doctor Who, you have to take it for what it is, right? And you can't compare it to Breaking Bad or anything like that. So for me with Doctor Who, what it comes down to is I judge it on its writing. And if I like the writing of the episode, I will ignore the CG. I'll ignore some of the dodgy acting even. If it's I'm picturing the script and the script is really solid, that's what makes it a 5 out of 5. So I completely take all your points, but I thought the script was very strong. And so that makes it a strong episode.
Yeah.
What's the third episode called?
The Giggle.
The Giggle. Starring Neil Patrick Harris.
Yeah.
So Neil Patrick Harris is not as irritating as he might have been.
No, but he is a lot.
No, he's a lot. There's a lot to take.
Yeah.
I might be very, very late to the party, but I think it's time to suspend any hope of the show possessing rigorous logic. So harkening back to what we were just talking about, his line about invoking superstition at the edge of creation, that nifty line basically generates the whole plot.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what the show is. Don't think about it too much.
I
just decide whether you like the basic idea or not.
I'm just trying to remember if this was something that Russell T Davies did before. Because, famously, Stephen Moffat has always kind of treated the Doctor Who more as a fairy tale than as science fiction. He's kind of applied fairy tale logic to a lot of the stories and the trajectory throughout the season of those characters. And then Chibnall, I think his approach was, well, it's more of an educational show. So even though it's even in the moments where it's not scientifically accurate, we're teaching people about something, whether it's an idea or
which is what the show was originally conceived to do, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then in his second season, he was like, "Oh, it's shit. Bring back the Jadoon. Bring back this. Do all of this shit." I can't quite remember what Rusty T. Davis's fun. I imagine he wanted the show to be fun above anything else, because I do think it's fun looking back on a lot of the old episodes. But yeah, I don't know whether he treats Doctor Who as a fairy tale.
I think it's meant to be like smart sci-fi ideas.
Yeah.
With characters that you like and that is fun for the family. That's the main thing I get from what he wants. He wants to produce a show that is fun for everyone to watch.
Yeah.
Like Gladiators, which we'll review in 3 episodes.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that's what he's going for. Clever family entertainment. Okay, so
why is there a Spice Girls song in this episode?
Well,
if you want clever family entertainment.
Yeah, I know. Well, the episode, the allegory is very obvious. That's fine. The giggle should be the worst the show gets.
Okay.
If we're going to hold it to a high standard.
I see.
This is the worst that it should get. Oh, the Star Beast is worse.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I'm saying, if we want a good show, this is the worst it should get, which is some good moments, some cool ideas, an episode that's just fine. This should be the worst the show gets. The dialogue is leagues above Chibnall.
Yeah.
The Spice Girls entrance is goofy.
Yes.
Incredibly goofy. I suspect that the regeneration process will conform to whatever agenda the writer has. But as it goes, I thought this was a good reinvention.
So splitting the new Doctor from the old one.
Yeah, let me explain why.
Okay.
They're always bringing back old Doctors whenever they feel like it.
Yeah.
Through some convoluted bullshit.
Yeah.
So I think it's just much better to retire them in whatever way befits that iteration.
That's the thing. We kind of, weirdly, we're in a position at the moment where you kind of can't bring the Doctors back anymore. I mean, Christopher Eccleston doesn't seem to be...
interesting.
We're not going to get him back in the show at this point.
No.
David Tennant, as much as they try to hide it, he's showing his age at this point. He doesn't... Yeah. It doesn't look like an old man, and it's not sad to see him back as the Doctor.
Well, the Doctor can be an old man.
Yeah, but David Tennant isn't an old man.
No, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
They kind of... There's one line in the Star Beast that's meant to... She says to him, a man your age can't pull off clothes that tight, or something like that.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he looks older. I think Matt Smith might get away with it, with Matt Smith. Capaldi, I mean, he's an old man anyway. But I guess the point I'm kind of making is that, in previous episodes where they have brought back the old Doctors, the classic Doctors, they're old men now. You can't disguise that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, but they don't care about that.
No. But yeah, it's becoming...
Face, didn't they?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But it's becoming harder and harder to realistically integrate old Doctors into the show now.
But yeah, I think there's something to just... What was the character? One of the companions, I think that their ending was they had a craft and they went alone off into the stars or something like that.
I think that was Clara.
Clara, yeah. So they didn't die. They just they're out there now doing their own thing.
Yeah, Clara could come back at any point if they wanted to.
Right, exactly. And but they don't have to.
No.
That's the thing. They don't.
Yeah, she could never encounter them ever.
Yeah, they never have to bring back the old Doctors if they don't want to.
Yeah.
But better to just have them out there so you don't have to make up some stupid bullshit to bring them back. Catch was a strange way to beat the toy maker, was that his name?
Yeah, it was funny that oh wow, this is the big finale. Three men playing catch over dramatic music on a skyscraper.
It's kind of like the Fargo thing and the Doctor Who thing, which is that the mix of the domesticity and the out there-ness. Yeah. They're on this Avengers style, the unit headquarters helipad thing.
Yeah,
but they're playing catch. It's meant to be a kind of marriage of those two things. But I just thought it would be cleverer than that to be the toy maker. Because they don't do anything that slips him up. He just loses catch.
Yeah, because I feel like previous battles have been a bit more... I could be completely misremembering it, but they actually have to trick the toy maker in order to beat him.
Right. Yeah, trick him. If you're playing him in a game, he's going to win, so you have to somehow break the game.
And that's a cool idea. A character, again, that kind of exists outside of creation, who, all of creation to him is a toy, because he can manipulate it in any way he wants. And so the language in which you kind of interact with him is through games.
Yeah, and games are very much the heart of this episode, and there's a lot of great dialogue about it. It really is. When they're in the mazy kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where they're I just thought, this is good.
Yeah.
This is solid Doctor Who, But yeah, it's ultimately, it should have been a little bit cleverer than... He's just not as good at catch as they are, you know. But anyway.
Yeah, he's fucking literally bend reality to his will. Why could he not catch a ball?
Yeah. So David Tennant's Doctor settles down with Donna and Rose. Here's my question, Jordan.
Okay.
What did the generation-defining favourite of the Whovians do to inspire such an infernal fate? I thought we liked him.
This is what we've done to him?
What a poor bastard.
And that's the other thing as well. It was always going to be a hard sell, undoing one of, like I said, the most conclusively ended, actually kind of nice endings in Doctor Who, to bring a character back for 3 episodes and then give them another ending. It was going to be a hard thing to pull off, but they don't pull it off. This is not a better ending than what we had for Donna before.
Is he the one that when he says, I don't want to go?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's obviously it's heartbreaking, but like that is the end. That's the ending. There's something like bittersweet about it. Whereas that it's like a retcon thing, like we didn't like. I'm not saying this is the case, but we didn't like that ending, so let's just we'll give him a nicer ending. We'll do it again and give him a nicer ending. It's like what they will probably eventually do with Tony Stark. You know, bring him back to life, and then he gets to live with his
with his family, Pepper and his daughter and everything.
But we'll see.
It's weird as well because Martha, who's a companion that you like. I don't like Martha personally, but you liked Martha, didn't you?
Yeah, she's fine.
Yeah, she is just like out there in the world. She works for UNIT.
Right, well, she could have been in this episode.
Yeah, absolutely. She's just on Earth.
Do you think it was possible that she was meant to be the one that's played by the older Doctor Who companion? Because there's an older one there as well, right?
No, I can see them just like, we've got this actor, this historic actor.
60th anniversary.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. It's we got to reference the history of the show somehow. Yeah. I suspect the reason, because I don't know what Freema Agyeman's even doing now.
Nor do I.
But even so, this is not a reason not to bring the character back. But I suspect one of the reasons they didn't do it is because she's married to Mickey, who is Noel Clarke.
Oh, okay, maybe.
Who is cancelled. But, they just broke up.
Yeah, it's been quite a long time.
Yeah, even though I don't like Martha, it's weird that they've never done anything with her.
Maybe she's not interested.
Maybe.
Okay, so the final of the 4 episodes, which is called...
Oh, is it like the church on Ruby
Road? That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I actually don't mind Ncuti Gatwa.
Yeah, he's not the car crash I feared.
No, I think he's pretty good.
Okay.
With the one and a bit episode we have.
Yeah.
I also quite like Millie Gibson.
Yeah.
But isn't she leaving?
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to know that yet. Do you know what I mean? Like, as someone, if I was like really invested in the show, don't tell me, she's going to be in it for 1 season then. Don't tell me the writer's plans, show me the board in the writer's room. I want to just experience it.
My little thing is they're really committing to making Doctor Who like it used to be. Like every season, the main cast changes.
Yeah. So, there's nothing actually wrong with finding her attractive, but I still feel uncomfortable about it.
Okay.
Because she's like 19, 20 or something like that.
She's a young person.
Which is fine, but, the dancing was embarrassing.
Yeah, the musical numbers. I just...
Oh, not even that. I'm talking about him in the club.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. The musical numbers were also embarrassing.
Okay, actually, this is probably something that... I don't know if you'll have anything to say about it, but we should probably acknowledge it. It feels like something we would. Mm-hmm. I think the implication... Might not even be an implication. They might have just talked about it.
Yes.
When Ncuti Gatwa splits off from David Tennant, the idea is that the Doctor that we have known is David Tennant, and Ncuti Gatwa is still the Doctor, but he's kind of this new...
It doesn't make... I'll never understand it.
I'm not even talking about the logic of it.
No, I know that.
Yeah, what I'm talking about is... I mean, firstly, there's this idea, the feeling that, well, David Tennant is the one that I know. Why is he the one that we're leaving behind?
Right.
That's the character that I'm invested in. That's the character I want to see. There's this new guy that's just like, oh no, I'm the proper Doctor. And you're like, no, it's this guy. But also, isn't the idea that Ncuti doesn't have any of the trauma or baggage that the Doctor has been carrying with him all of these years?
Possibly.
Yeah, all of his kind of mourning that he's done about the Time Lords and the lamenting the horrific things he did in the Time War. All of that has stayed with David Tennant. This new Doctor is kind of free of all of that now.
You could be, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't. I have no idea.
Okay. If I'm right, and if that is the case, if they've basically all of the trauma of that character is just gone now, how do you feel about that?
I mean, look, the show has been such a train wreck. Such a fucking train wreck.
Yeah.
It's hard to feel... I don't invest anything in it, right? Like, I said this when we were ploughing through the show. and I maintain it now. I mean, I'm more patient now, obviously, but I'm just on the lookout for good individual episodes.
Okay.
I can't invest any more in it than that. It's too much. It doesn't make sense. It's unrigorous. It's whimsical. It does what it wants to. It's capricious. But if this is being marketed as like season 1, then I don't really have a problem with it, because they'll get to do all that stuff again, or do whatever they want to do. If it is a continuation, then I don't know. I mean, I feel like the trauma of what he's done as as flared up whenever they've wanted it to.
Yeah.
So honestly, I don't feel one way or the other about it. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
One thing that I thought you were going to say is that this one's gay.
Well, I think that's more your contention, isn't it?
Oh, I mean, Ncuti Gatwa is gay.
Yeah.
So I think it's fair to assume that under Russell T Davies anyway, the Doctor will be gay now.
Yeah.
Not because Russell T Davies is gay, but because he's going to honour the identity of the actor playing them.
Yeah, of course.
And there is a line about a hot summer with Houdini.
Yes. Yeah.
So, you know, I don't care if the Doctor's gay, whatever, I don't give a fuck. But
well, I think you've said before, haven't you, that it makes sense that Jodie Whittaker would be gay, but it makes less sense that a male Doctor would be gay.
Yes, if it's the same person, which I'm still clueless about, as are the writers.
Yeah.
But okay, I like Ruby's home setup. I like the whole, you know, the old Jamaican grandmother and the, you know.
Yeah.
The feeling of British domesticity is back.
Yeah, straight away in the Star Beast. That was kind of nice. It's like, oh yeah, it's like neighborhoods exploding again.
Right.
And Russell T Davies does this well.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the goblin ship. I like the idea of a goblin ship.
I did like the idea that, maybe it's just the way that the Doctor views the ship as opposed to it actually being how it operates. Mm-hmm. But the whole idea of the ship operating on quote-unquote rope technology.
Yeah, wooden ship. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Davis's return has already produced significantly more memorable everything. Doctor Who has a tendency to fade in my memory, but there are things from all of these episodes that I know that I will remember. Whereas I remember nothing from Whittaker's era. Yeah. Actually nothing, except that one bit where Rosa Parks sits down and then they play that song, Stand Up. Yeah. All in all, these 4 episodes, it's such a shame that it started with the Star Beast. Although, if that had come at the end or later, God, how disappointing would that have been?
Yeah, in a way, it kind of feels like the appropriate transition, because you watch the Star Beast and you go, oh yeah, it's exactly what I thought it'd be.
If the show is basically week to week, The Giggle and The Church on Ruby Road, with occasional flashes of Well Blue Yonder, I'm all in.
Okay.
Take the Star Beast shit out of the equation.
Yeah.
And you've got a good show. Those 3 episodes are good.
Okay.
Sometimes really good.
Yeah.
With moments of excellence. Him coming back, obviously we feared that the LGBT thing, that's coming back with him. And it has.
It has. And it's a shame because that was never... It was here when it you know, season 1 to 4, Captain Jack, and there was always flashes of that.
Yeah.
But it was never the show.
No.
He always handled it really well.
So here's the thing. If it doesn't become the show, fine.
Yeah.
So far on the evidence, I think it's looking good.
Yeah.
I think we're looking at a good Series 14.
Okay.
So there, I'm not biased against Doctor Who.
Okay.
I think it has a shot.
You're ready to be disappointed.
Absolutely. Because I read earlier Rose is coming back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So. And that is January covered. So...
How was January for you?
All right.
Okay.
You know, Holdovers, brilliant.
Yeah.
Poor Things, Fargo, and Doctor Who. So make of that what you will. And just bear in mind, if you care all about this podcast, this won't be the thing going forward. It will be for the next couple of episodes. Okay. But we won't be doing a monthly roundup. Right. Henceforth. But we will be doing it for February, March, maybe April. We'll see. I think that's everything.
I believe so.
Okay. In that case, see you in February. Bye. Bye-bye.